All right, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome. This is always fun seeing what trouble I can get up to in the pre-show and what kind of mistakes I can make with the map, but things are coming together, it's looking a little better. Welcome, thank you for joining. Going to be a fun show today. I've got a special guest who you can kind of see on the wall behind me, and also going to be talking about the the stand and the giveaway. We'll do all of that later on. So, as always, drop questions in the chat. If you do want me to see the question, make sure you either mention my name at Aaron Parecki or mention the word question at the beginning of the sentence, and that puts it into a nice little queue for me so I can make sure it doesn't get lost in the rest of the chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my graphics in so I can show some of these messages on the screen. And I see, there we go. Yes, I do have a projector. I was experimenting with this the other day. This is a projector showing the multi-view of my ATEM on the wall. My wall is just flat gray, so it does a decent job of showing up. And yeah, thanks, Dean. How many times did the map get reset? Just once. I realized what was happening was the chat messages were appearing below the map, so I had to go change my web page to move them back on top of the map. So that was my mistake. Then I had to reload it, and I lost all the pins from before. So yeah, I don't know if this will be a permanent installation. It's pretty fun. We'll see. You get a little sneak peek of what's happening on the rest of my switcher, even if it's a little out of focus. So all right. We're going to go ahead and start today's show by talking about a very fun Zoom / production / whatever, we'll find out what he wants to call it, with my special guest, Ryan Somerfield, and he is joining me today virtually through actually VDO.ninja. So with that, let's go ahead and bring him on and make sure we get his audio in. All right, you should be on.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining me. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the show you did, and I have a few questions to ask, but also I want to kind of give people in the audience today an idea of who you are and what you do and what this event was. So let's start out with a quick introduction to what is your role? Who are you? What do you do? And also, do you have a YouTube channel?
Yes. So my name is Ryan. I am based in Sydney, Australia. It's 3:05 a.m. at the moment, so not the greatest time to be alive, but that's all right. I am what would you call myself? A technical director. I've been doing a lot of live streams in the last year or so, especially considering COVID's come about. I have a background in film and television, doing camera operating, things like Steadicam and other specialist cameras, as well as DOP and directing. Yeah, but I've kind of moved into live streaming during this weird time and working with some clients, doing some big events that would normally be in Vegas or wherever else it's happening, and putting it online because of where we are.
Yeah, awesome. And I've dropped a link to Ryan's YouTube channel in the chat here. It is lots of good stuff on there. He's got a full overview of the thing we're going to be talking about today on that channel, but we'll kind of just do a little sneak peek of it. So yeah, let's talk about this event you did, the production. So while we do that, let me go ahead and bring up our little B-roll clip that's running. And can you talk to us about, tell us sort of like a high level overview of what the event was and what the audience was expecting to see and experience there? Like, was it a broadcast? Was it participatory? Were there guests? That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the event was for GitHub. It was their manager meetup for the year, or I think one of the ones for the year. So it was a broadcast. It was on Zoom, so it was it was more of a broadcast than a Zoom call. But we were using Zoom for chat interaction, low latency, and breakout rooms, which failed horribly on us. But that's another fun story.
Okay, so the audience, the viewers were watching this through Zoom then, is that right? Their view of this
correct,
was in Zoom? And
yes, so we were broadcasting out of the switcher into a Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, essentially it was just a Zoom meeting for the participants. So we had about 400 people around the world doing 2 time zones a day. So American time and Asia Pacific time. Mm-hmm. So we did the same show twice a day, 3 days a week, 3 days for the week. So yeah.
Yeah. So then, was there any participation from the people watching, since it was in Zoom, or who were the other participants in the actual broadcast involved?
Absolutely. So, in terms of participation from the people on Zoom, it was purely chat. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't bring people in. We didn't do anything on that Zoom call itself, but we did do a gallery wall. So we had a gallery wall showing their faces. So we encouraged people to have their cameras on because we wanted to see them, and add a bit of waving interaction in terms of the show itself.
Gallery walls are really fun. I got to do that next in here with my background. So
yes.
So what did who was? I see there's a studio here. There's like a studio space that you're filming in. Was everybody in the show in the studio, or were there people joining from home?
Yeah, so we had Phil Nosworthy, shout out to you. Phil Nosworthy was our host in the studio itself. We had one in our studio. We had a remote host, who you can see there on the screen, coming from Portland, from your hometown. So there was a lot of backwards and forwards banter coming from her. She was the co-host for the event. We also had about 8 or so, or maybe 10 or so people we brought in as well during the event. They came in from around the world, mostly from the US, some from London, I think, and I think also from India.
Okay.
And
so then,
I think some other places.
So what were you using to bring them into the show? How were they interacting?
So we did all of the remote guest interaction outside of Zoom purely on the Vision Switcher side. So we had them coming in on VDO.ninja, which is what we're using for our communication as well. Mm-hmm. So we had them coming in video. We ran 3 rooms on VDO.ninja. So if you're not sure what VDO.ninja is, it's basically an open source Zoom-like platform for peer-to-peer connections of videos. So we had 3 rooms. We had a green room, which we brought people in. So we gave them a green room link during the week and said, "Hey, join us on this link. We'll get you connected and get you onto the broadcast." So we had just a laptop sitting there with a webcam. Our host tech came in and got them all comfortable, got them all in. And when we did, say, if I had a PowerPoint, we ran the PowerPoint on our end. So we had Internet Clicker, so internetclicker.com, I believe the website is. So we used that for them to be able to control their PowerPoint. So we set that all up, make sure that was all comfortable. And then using VDO.ninja, we transferred them to the main stage. And once they're in the main stage, we were able to send them to one of 2 computers. So we had two PCs with a Decklink Duo card in them. So we had 4 outputs per computer. Mm-hmm. The idea being that one was on fiber, one was on the house fiber, one was on 4G. So we had 2 links coming in from their computer to 2 different internet connections and 2 different whole computers. So we had a instant backup ready for if anything happened to any of the links. Also to the point where with VDO.ninja, you can change the compression, you can change the resolution, you can change a whole host of things. So we actually sent those 2 lines into a Blackmagic clean switch. So that gave us the opportunity to, the streaming tech down in his booth was actually able to flick between the primary and backup.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
down the line, there was actually, so when I was in the control room, all I saw was contributor A or contributor B. So what was happening on the other end of that was a very different story. So that was a huge, yeah, that was amazing to be able to actually adjust between primary and backup with no glitch, essentially. Because we just went bang, primary backup, and it just came through. And the audio was de-embedded on the SDI. The video was brought in as a single channel. So in the main control, all we saw was whatever the streaming tech was sending us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a good idea for the backup. So VDO.ninja, that's you're using the scenes in it. Is that right? To have the different stages, so you can have like multiple scenes in the call, and you can push videos to different scenes. Is that the idea?
Absolutely. So we had 8 scenes lined up. So it was 1 to 4 for primary, 1 to 4 for backup.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'll go on the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
So once a participant came in, all we did was just add them to scene 1 or scene 2. So scene 1 and scene 5, for example. So that would have sent them to both primary and backup. And then that pushed out to those machines. So the scenes were always live on the screen. Yeah, and then we just threw them through that.
That's great. So it's actually a good question here. Why did you decide to use this instead of Zoom for the contribution of the remote people?
Yeah, great question. Essentially, it gave us more control. We had full control over the feeds coming in. We had full control over the quality. We had, and another big thing was we had individual audio. So as far as I know, Zoom only does a mix coming in, and each of the outputs come out the same both ways. So this way on VDO was, we had a dedicated line coming in, a dedicated line going to the audio engineer who was able to EQ and compress and do all those things separately.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so that was one of the key things, but it did also cause a few issues in terms of being peer-to-peer. There's no server in the middle to massage the image or do anything to help it. So things like Zoom will actually go to the server, do some magic and help the image. But because we're so far away, I've done some packet loss tests between Sydney and California. I'm getting like 2-3% packet loss just going over the internet through the pipe. But going to a server in Sydney, it's completely fine. So people who weren't on Wi-Fi, for example, it was a huge, we were getting a lot of dropouts. So we were actively pushing for people to go, you need internet. It's not an option, basically, which on Zoom can be an option because it'll massage that out. But especially on a broadcast, it just wasn't an option.
Speaking of that, the when we were testing this link for this show right now, we're using VDO.ninja for this. So that is, and it's working very well, I think. We did also try using the streaming bridge to push Ryan's feed into my studio, and it did not work well, probably because of the packet loss over RTMP. It was stuttering a lot, and it was just completely useless. So I'm glad we tried that, so we know that it didn't work with that much packet loss or latency. I think it was more the packet loss, and for whatever reason, VDO.ninja is able to handle that a lot better, and it does do some adapting. You can go into the stats and see that sometimes it'll scale it down if it's having trouble with the bandwidth or the connection. But we did switch it into 1080 mode right before we started today, so this signal is very clean, and that's why you can see his computer screen and things like that. So yeah, can you
Yeah,
explain
so
how
there's
we
a
did
question
that?
in there saying, yeah, so we are getting 1080p. So on the receiving side, so you're running this into OBS,
Hmm.
the software itself. You can run it into other software as well, like vMix or any of those other platforms that will accept a browser input. But you can go in and change the resolution to whatever you want. You can be 4K, you can be 360, whatever you want. You can type that in manually, but we just added the tag quality equals 0, which basically says go up to 1080p 60 if you can,
Hmm.
if the internet's fine, if the computer can handle it. Example.
Yeah, so I can go and look at I can actually look at the stats in VDO.ninja, and you can see the the this is what's happening right now in real time. So I'm actually not sure why there's two viewers here. It's in one OBS, but I think maybe my computer that I'm actually using, it counts as another viewer. But it's on a separate computer over in OBS with that URL pulled up, and that is that's showing us that it is in fact in full 1080, which we were debugging beforehand.
Yeah, we did have a few little. So because we had essentially 8 feeds coming in on the participant side, they were actually sending 8 feeds even though the video wasn't active. So there was a tag that we added to basically disable the video when it wasn't being used. Because what we found is that the participant was actually feeding out 9 streams at the same time.
Mm.
And that put a lot of load on their internet and their computer. So there was a tag that we added to say, when the scene is empty, don't send anything, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that did help a lot.
Yep.
I can't remember where that tag is, though. I'm sorry.
Hopefully it's in the docs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. Let's. I have a couple other questions about about your event. So, one question: did you have pre-recorded videos as part of the show as well? And if so, what were you using to play those back? How did you integrate that?
Yeah, we had quite a few pre-recorded videos. So we were running a mixture of pre-recorded videos. We had also lower thirds, which were video files, and we had full screen animations. So I might run through how we did the actual view for the viewer, because that will actually make it a little bit easier to explain how we. So excuse the Photoshop thing. So we were cutting our picture on ME2. So we had our camera cut coming in ME2, and then we scaled that down into a smaller border. We added a border around the image just to add a little bit of branding to the picture. So this was basically on the entire time.
And this is over
Below
top
the
of everything. This is like a overlay graphic.
correct, yeah. So this was in the switcher. We ran this as an upstream key. So we actually had 4 upstream keys going. The bottom one being the ME2 scaled in to the box. Above that, we had a lower thirds thing. So the lower thirds that they made were actually just the files were animated from the side.
Okay.
So that made the scaling a lot easier for the editor. So that kind of popped in below, and then it matched in with the animation.
Yeah.
And then we had animations on top. Now these were all played using HyperDeck. So we had HyperDeck Studio Minis, which we're running all about our playbacks on. Our main VTs, we had 2 of them. So we had a primary backup for that. And our lower thirds were on a third one, and our animations were on a 4th one. So all of these were fired using Companion.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what we did was made a bunch of buttons. So we had VTs 1 to 20. We had animation 1 to 20. We had lower thirds 1 to 20. And we would set up these macros to be when you click on VT1, for example, it would put HyperDeck 1 into preview. It would load up the clip on both primary and backup. It would play the clip on both primary and backup. It would fire the sting, and then off it goes. So it was basically the case of, cool, roll VT1, 1 button press, and the video would play out as we set it to on the pre-record, so we could time exactly so that the sting comes out right when the thing would start. So it made those playbacks really, really easy.
Yeah, that's great. There's a couple of questions in here about your setup again. So for the audio, how did can you explain the audio here? And also, I guess it's the same as what we're doing here because you were using VDO.ninja. We've done several of the other workflows. We've had to have Zoom as a back channel for audio because whatever we were using, like the streaming bridge, is only one way. But yeah, can you talk about how you're doing it with your guests?
Yeah, so we were using, so all the audio was done inside VDO.ninja. So all the backwards and forwards was done with that. There was no back channel per se. It was purely done in that. So we had, we're mixing on a Midas Pro 2C, so a 64-channel console. We had a aux going to each of, so to the green room. So that went into the director panel in the green room. We had one going to the main stage and one going to the remote host stage. So the remote hosts were in their own little stage. And occasionally we moved them into the main stage so that they could talk to the other guests locally. Now we embedded the audio on the video line going into them. So we had the comms going in. So as a director, I could talk to those people going in. We had, as well as Phil's audio, there was a lot of mix minus going on to try and.
Okay. So it was all done in
it was
an external board, though, right? All of the.
Correct. Yeah.
All of the audio was mixed externally. So then in OBS or VDO.ninja, you tell the browser what audio source to use for that window for when you are the director, right? When you want to send audio back. So are you sending back one of the mix minuses to those guests from the board?
So we had one of the mix minuses going in. Either it was embedded on the SDI or it was the Dante feed, depending on the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the way out, it was a de-embed inside the constellation. So we ran a ATEM constellation for the video as our main switcher. We actually had 4 switches total, which is a bit ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then on the MADI out, we de-embedded the audio from each feed. So we had 13 de-embeds happening stereo. Yeah.
Okay. a lot of audio routing. Yep.
Yes.
Great. There is this is my next question. Thank you for asking this. So you mentioned that not everything was perfect. So what was one thing you learned, or what would you change next time you do this?
Oh boy, we learned a lot. It was a huge event. We've been doing similar ones leading up to this, but this is definitely the biggest one we've done so far. Look, one of the hardest parts was just this distance, the physical distance that we had between us and most of the participants. So, like we were saying before, going over the pipe to the States, a lot of packet loss coming in. So trying to massage the picture coming in was a huge part. Obviously, in terms of time zones as well, a lot of shooting at the middle of the night. So our remote host, we wanted to run the streaming bridge for her picture to come in. So we sent her a Pocket Cinema camera 6K, a laptop, ATEM Mini, and the plan was to bring her feed in via streaming bridge, but we just couldn't do it. There was just too much packet loss, and then everything freaked out, regardless of the bitrate, which was quite a shame. So we ended up just using VDO.ninja for that. Getting people on Ethernet, that was a huge one. Okay. Next time we would basically go, if you haven't got one, we're sending you one. We're just going to make an Amazon order and just send you an Ethernet dongle and a cable. Just make it mandatory, going, you have to plug it in. We had one guest saying, oh, I'm just sitting next to my Wi-Fi router, I've got a great signal, and was constantly having flashes of his image freaking out the entire time. So that was a bit annoying. And from a technical point of view, it just got huge. So we're running 7 MEs, 3 super sources, 4 switches. It just got stupid. So I'm always trying to figure out ways to try and lessen things, make it smaller. But essentially, that's what we needed to do in the end. I think that's a couple of things that we learned, but always learning, always trying to figure out better ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That makes sense. The a bit ridiculous Australian is Australian for overkill.
This is very true.
Oh, here's a good question. How many people did you need to operate the whole show?
Yeah, so it's about a crew of 10, I believe, maybe 9. So I was the technical director and director. So I was cutting the cameras on the day, as well as calling the show and lining things up. I had a vision switcher who was basically running companion, essentially the companion operator. We had an audio operator, a broadcast engineer running the studio side and also the system side. We had a Zoom tech who was running Zoom. We had a internet tech trying to massage the internet. Our internet here kind of sucks, so that was super helpful. A lot of bonding going on, a lot of helping with that. We had a streaming tech. We had a camera operator, a producer, a PA, editor, and yeah, I think that's it, as well as a host.
That's pretty good. Yeah, awesome. A big event. And yeah, we should point people to your videos because you did make some videos about this on your channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link again to. I'll just drop a link to one of the videos. It's the Could this be the ultimate Zoom setup? Is that the best one to link to?
Yeah. So that was the original one. We just did a bit behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Walk around the set, talking a bit. Did also a live stream for about an hour, just talking about some bit more in-depth details like we're doing here, and some other little videos popping up here and there as well. So
yeah,
let's see you there.
Fantastic. Yeah, drop that link in the chat and definitely take a look at the channel. And I think that about takes us to time. So yeah, thanks a bunch for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. And if you do have more questions for Ryan, go watch his videos and leave comments on those. And with that, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yep.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So that was a lot of fun, and we are going to go ahead and switch gears and get into my normal Q&A now. So, oh, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for that. Let's see. Let me make sure I can. I'm going to switch Ryan back to watching on YouTube. So here we go. Closing up my OBS windows. Thanks for the super chat, Petra. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, let's talk about what's going on here, since I know some people have joined late and are wondering what is going on my wall. I decided to, instead of my green up light that glows, glow makes the wall glow, I decided to throw my multi-view on there instead. So I had a projector that's actually been sitting in a box for ages now, and I was like, oh, that'd be fun. I have a projector, why don't I just put something up on the wall? So you can kind of see what's going on with my switcher now at all times, and you can see that Ryan dropped out, and I guess that means I can go reroute my input I was using for him into the side camera. Let's see if that works. That did work. You can see number 2 just filled up. And yeah, let's go ahead and see if there's any other questions for me about any ATEM stuff. And then I'm gonna give you a quick update on the stands and announce the winners, draw some winners. I haven't even done that yet. So, all right, looking through the questions here. Yeah, I need to rethink the location of that countdown clock. The countdown clock is blocking Australia, which we normally don't get many people from because it's the middle of the night there, but today we did. I'm gonna have to move that. It's also a little bit too big. It made sense over the thumbnail, but it doesn't make sense over the map. The countdown is actually something it's the last piece that I haven't moved into my new web interface for all the graphics. So right now the chat overlay and the super chat messages and the sound effects thank you for the demonstration live. I apparently also haven't fixed the problem when you don't enter text. So this is all done through a web page, and thank you for the super chat. The last thing I haven't pulled into here is the countdown timer, because I realized that there's something about the way my countdown timer works that I haven't seen replicated in very many other places, and that is that the timer is synced up to the music. So what I did was I just created that countdown timer in Premiere Pro using a keyframes and stuff to do the circle animation and the numbers ticking down. And then because it was all in a 10-minute timeline, I just kept dragging songs in there, and I made the last song end at 0. So that's why you always hear the same song at the beginning of the show, and that's why it always like tapers out nicely, because the song is synced up to the countdown clock. And that, I like that, and I like being able to know that you're going to hear music that makes sense at the beginning of the show instead of me just randomly cutting off the middle of a song, which might be like about to build up to something or whatever. So in order to replace that, or in order to bring it into a web page, I need to either play that video in the web page, which is probably not the best solution, or I need to write some more code to sync up a JavaScript countdown and a music, a playlist. So that's gonna be a bit of a trick to do that. We'll see. The countdown could be over Antarctica. Well, yeah, I gotta figure out where it's gonna go. Also, if I actually make it part of the web page, I don't need to render a 10-minute video every time I want to make changes, which would be nice. Okay, yeah, transparency could work too. Thanks, Ben. The projector is one of the coolest and best looks I've seen on this channel. Very unique. I appreciate it. Yeah, it might stick around. We'll see. We will see. Okay, so any other questions I can answer in here? Oh, Bailey says, for once I actually got a YouTube notification. Those notifications from YouTube just never are reliable, which is the reason that I made a mailing list. So speaking of, thanks everybody who did sign up to the mailing list. I saw it. We got a bunch of new people this time around, so that's fantastic. So let's talk about the stand updates, which I am super excited about, since it is actually real. I'm trying to bring up my photos of it to show you. It is real and shipping. So let me move those to the iPad album so I can share them. I'm gonna see my my Apple TV. I forgot to do this beforehand. There we go. Not the smoothest. I had a couple of technical difficulties at the beginning, as always, so I lost some time. Screen mirroring to the studio, and you should see my iPad pop up there in a second once the Apple TV wakes up. So, come on. Did I get the right one? There it is. Beautiful. The Stream Deck stand. It is, in fact, now shipping. It is, they are being cranked out as fast as we speak, as fast as they possibly can. We have four versions right now. We have the version for the Extreme. This is the 15-button Stream Deck on the ATEM Mini Extreme. There is the smaller one for the ATEM Mini. This one, same style though, same idea, and and then you can get both on the right side or the left side, and obviously they're different parts on the right and left, so you can't swap them. You have to make sure you get the one you intend on using. Those are available. The best place to go to find them is my website, PK1.TV is now listing the Stream Deck stands. And I can show you that. The other cool thing is I put all of the other accessories on here. So we've got, of course, the two stands. We've got the main Extreme stand, the main stand for the Mini. And then we've got the little feet for the Extreme, the clips to hold the Extreme in. And then, of course, the SSD holder, which fits the little Samsung drives. So you can bolt them onto the side. This is a new one as well. Oops. This is a new one that just got finished, which is actually, if you want to super reinforce the stand for the Extreme, it's this add-on made out of aluminum extrusion that you can bolt to the bottom. And that way it's like super, super, super rigid. It's not going anywhere. That can hold a ton of weight. And then if you have the clips in there, it kind of bolts everything on and it's nice and sturdy. And then I've got now the two stands, and the links for all of them are here. And we also have a new seller of all of these things in the US. So if you see the name PepperTech Digital, that is the US seller, and that's what's going on. They are selling most of the things in this line out of the US, and they are also posting them on Amazon. So if you do find this on Amazon, hopefully it is from PepperTech Digital, and they're the ones selling it in the US, and we are on Amazon now. So that is very exciting. The XL. Is there a XL stand? Not yet. I am working on that one now. So it is, I don't know if you have both of them, you might notice they are completely different kinds of devices. Like they don't really look anything the same except for the physical buttons. But the shape of the case is totally different. The way that each one attaches to its own base is totally different. So I have to do things quite a bit differently. And also the Stream Deck XL is quite a lot larger. So it's going to require a slightly different design for the side with the legs than the small 15 button. But that is in the works, and it will be done hopefully soon. I just tried to scroll your Chrome window. It's probably not going to work. Cool. So I see a couple other questions coming in. Is this projector going into a laptop? No. So everything in this studio is now routed through my SDI matrix, which is what lets me do cool stuff like that. So I just swapped, speaking of SDI matrix, I swapped the input 2 after Ryan left. I swapped it to this camera, which is my little side camera. This is actually the Sony RX0. It's the little tiny GoPro sized one, but it's a lot better than a GoPro. So I swapped that into input 2 thanks to the matrix. I didn't have to do any rewiring. I was able to just press a button and then it swaps it out. The output of the ATEM Extreme goes into the matrix as well, and then I can send it anywhere. So I have one copy being sent here. I don't know why I have it up there also. It's kind of redundant. It's also going to this one for no particular reason. Normally I have different things on the different monitors. My second computer monitor is on this screen right now, but I could reassign that. And I have a copy sent over to HDMI port on the other side of the room, which is what's plugged into the projector. So it's just the one output from the ATEM is just copied a bunch of times into a bunch of different devices. And it's super cool having the matrix available for this kind of thing, because it means I can just do this kind of stuff without rewiring the whole studio, and I can just try stuff really quickly. How many ins and outs? This has 20 ins, 20 outs. So it is surprisingly full. It is just about at the limit. I have a bunch of stuff on here. The main camera, these are all the sources up on top, and these are all the outputs on the bottom. So the sources are going to be things like my camera, the 3D printer camera is in here as well, the camera at the table, the overhead, the side camera. I also have like the Raspberry Pi that I use as a streaming bridge. I have the actual streaming bridge. I've got the HyperDeck in here twice. I actually didn't give this icons yet, but the one new thing I'm doing in here is the UltraStudio 4K is now routed into this as well, and that's what's doing the chat today. And then I've got the two outputs from the ATEM in here as well, which is how I can then route them. So I've got 6 of the outputs running into the ATEM. The other 2 are hardwired to fix things. I've got my monitor on the desk. I've got my 2 computer monitors down here. Those are the 2 ones on my table. The teleprompter over on the other table. You can see it just adds up really quick. I probably don't strictly need all of them. Like, I actually rarely use the input to the HyperDeck. I'm normally using the HyperDeck for playback only, so I could probably free that one up if I wanted to. But I've also got the computer monitor on the other table, so that can be either a copy of this monitor or it can be on multi-view if I'm over there and recording something. It's super handy being able to do this. It's just really nice being able to route this stuff around, and I do wish I had gotten the 32 instead of the 20. Told you should have got the 40 by 40. Yeah, I should have got something a little bit bigger. How many HDMI SDI converters are you running for the Matrix? A whole bunch. I don't have my wireless camera, otherwise I would go show you, but around the back of this desk is a stack of these converters, and I built little 3D printed trays for them too, so I could stack them on top of each other. And there's a whole bunch of them. And then I have a couple of long SDI cables that run over to a breakout box at the other table. And then there's a handful of converters inside of a breakout box over there as well. I think I did show that whole thing on the last time I did a studio tour live stream. You might be able to search through my chapter headers in order to find that. So if you go to let me get rid of the chat. If we go to chapter search, aaronpk.tv/timestamps. Let me just drop that link in the chat. If we go to aaronpk.tv/timestamps, this is all of the chapter markers in all of my live streams, not the regular videos. But if you look for, like, if you just search for SDI, you might be able to find, here's another time I talked about the SDI matrix. Here's another overview of it. Let's see if we do, let's see if we can look for the behind the scenes. Okay, here's one behind the scenes. Here it is, behind the scenes of my live streaming desk. So if you click on that, it'll jump you straight to the time of that video. So go ahead and feel free to use that link and find all of my huge backlog of content. So, okay, more questions coming in. Fantastic. I was considering the 12 by 12. Do I need to reconsider? I honestly would reconsider 12. 12, as soon as I made a list before I bought this, I made a list of what I was going to plug in, and I very quickly got to 12. So I would start by making a list of all of your inputs and all of your outputs that you might want to route around, and add those all up, see how quickly you get to 12, because I have a feeling it might be quicker than you think. And then I was like, okay, 20, that should be enough. I've got a few extras that I'm not planning, don't have plans for right now, and it turns out I should have jumped up another level. And I'm actually thinking I probably should have gone with the Aja instead of Blackmagic, because it's silent already. There's no fan in it. Get ready to buy more converters. Yeah, exactly. Most of these have SDI converters. There are only a few things in my studio that actually are SDI devices, but the 2 monitors on the desk are. So these are SDI inputs. The HyperDeck, of course, is SDI. Also, this monitor is actually SDI, which is nice. I have an SDI, something over there is SDI, and the UltraStudio now, which is doing the chat overlay. I can talk about that. Let me talk about that really quick. What I've done is I'm actually using OBS for this. So if you look at my computer screen, I'll go back to this one. This is how I'm bringing in the chat now. So my little admin interface for this, there's a web page version of it that is the viewer of it, and that's loaded up in OBS. So this is full screen web page, and it has actual transparency. What that means is that So OBS is then set up, it's not streaming or recording, it's only set up to output over Decklink to the UltraStudio 4K Mini. And I had to set this keyer to external, which tells it to output it outputs the graphics of the main, like of the chat over the main output, and then it actually understands transparency of the web page and outputs a key channel as well. If you look at, I can't show you the multi-view better than this right now, but here's the actual graphics showing the chat, and then here is the key for that. And if I hide that message, you can see it animates out and goes out. So that's how that is how that is working now, which also means that my transparency will be a lot better than using a Luma key. So of course it eats up another input into the ATEM, which is the downside, but so far I'm reasonably happy with the fact that I'm down one input because I can get better graphics. Okay, are they all the new bidirectional or some of the old ones? You had any issues running HDMI and then HDMI out and SDI out? I had placed an order for all of the converters that they were out of stock, and then Blackmagic announced the new ones, so I was able to cancel the order and swap them out for the new ones, the new bidirectionals. And I actually have a handful of non-bidirectional also. I have mentioned this before, but I've had some issues with bidirectional ones until they can actually lock into cross mode. It's extremely frustrating because if you drop a signal out of one of them, it switches into whatever's in the one input that gets mirrored out. And if you are not careful about setting it up, you can end up creating some really nasty feedback loops. So thankfully, I'm not pushing audio around too much, so my risk of feedback loops is relatively low for that, but it is still very frustrating. Is that chapter web page you made design in Python looks like web scraping in school? They talked about how to pull data from the web and format it. No, it is just very simple HTML. It is nothing, there's nothing to it. It's written in PHP, but whatever. It's just a simple HTML page. Just checked that the Stream Deck stand shipping to Canada is going to be the same price as the stand. Will you make the print file available? We're not planning on making the print files available for these, but the shipping shouldn't be that much. Check the two different stores. Check the US store and the Europe store. It shouldn't be that expensive, I would hope. If it is, that's unfortunate. Okay. What is the use case for the Blackmagic bidirectional converters? Well, the idea is that they can do a couple of things. They are really cool. So they have three modes. You can either have HDMI in on you can have HDMI in, and then it'll route that signal back out over HDMI and over SDI. So you can like put it on a camera, get a monitor locally, and then send an SDI feed a long distance. Or you can go the other way, which is SDI in, SDI loop out, and HDMI out, which you would usually use on a monitor to like receive a signal from over SDI. Or they have bidirectional mode, which it acts as two converters. It actually acts as HDMI to SDI and simultaneously SDI to HDMI. And that's that like cross converter mode where the two video signals have nothing to do with each other. The problem is that it will auto-detect the modes. So if you unplug a cable, then it switches into the mirroring mode, which is just annoying. The decimator ones don't do that, which are a lot better. And I probably should have just bought the decimator ones. The non-bidirectional ones, the straight converters, SDI to HDMI, those you can actually load LUTs into as well if you want to preview a color grade out of the port too, which is kind of cool. Have you had delays from Blackmagic for repairs? My Mini Pro Ethernet stopped working after 2 weeks. No problem on the Extreme. Oh, that's too bad. Bummer. I've been lucky. My Extreme has not had any problems. I did just have to send my Blackmagic Pocket 4K in for repair because the screen broke on the back. It was just started glitching out one day, and it finally came back a couple days ago. So I just set it up again today for the first time since I've had it back, and thankfully it's all working again. I don't actually remember how long it was, but it was, I think, a couple of weeks that it was out. Not too bad though, not too bad. I'm not going to complain. Okay, so we're almost at the top of the hour, so I do want to draw the winners for the stand because we are going to be giving away one stand and 3 30% off coupons. So maybe that'll help with the shipping cost, or if you do get lucky, we will send you one. So let me go ahead and do this. The contest, that was pretty fun. Let me know if you liked looking for those codes. I liked hiding them. So I'm planning on doing more giveaways like that in the future, I think. And I'm planning on hiding more secret codes in live streams. So let's see. I need a drum roll sound. I don't think I have a drum roll sound here. Yeah, okay. Drawing the winners. And let me make sure everybody is a real person and not... Yeah, okay, those look great. Fantastic. So, the winner... How do I show... Aha! Here we go. The winners are now displayed in the contest. So, the winner of the actual stand is Jose, and Mike, Kevin, and Holger will be getting the 30% off coupons. Congratulations. Thank you for playing. That was a lot of fun, and we will be in touch with, well, I'll email you. I have your emails there, so we'll make sure to get shipping info from you over email, and I will email the winners the coupon codes as well. Excellent. Thank you. Drum roll sound. The chat is helping me with the drum roll sounds. Thank you for that. Oh, now I can show you where it was in the live stream. The live stream, the one in the live stream from last week, that was sneaky. So I told you at the beginning of the show that it was, or somewhere in the middle I said I hadn't shown it yet. So you could have skipped from that point forward looking for it. What I did do is, it was when I was at the table, it was when I was over at the table showing the, where was that? Showing the setup. I don't actually know the timestamp of it. That was the ride. Here we go. So when I was showing the router, where did the router go? Here it is. So I was showing the, there it is. It was on the router. So I printed out a sticker and just put it there, and then just had it in the shot. And I made sure to leave it there for a while so that you could see it in the shot. But that was fun. And that is the kind of, I kind of like hiding it in plain sight, but not telling anybody what's going on. Yeah, that was fun. Oh no, my chat stopped working because I have a bug. Hold on, I need to reauthorize it. This is gonna keep happening. You can kind of see what I'm doing on my computer screen here. Google's making me do two-factor auth. I made a mistake yesterday when I was working on some code, and it has caused no end of problems to all sorts of things over the last day now. And now, of course, Google's making me do two-factor auth. Thank you, Google. plug in the USB key. There we go. I noticed that the chat had stopped working, and then I remembered why. So oh yeah, so that wasn't the Wi-Fi password. That was the trick. Yeah, you would think that a little thing like that on the router might be a Wi-Fi password, but no, it was not. Very sneaky, very sneaky. It was hard to see if you were watching on a phone. I tried to make it big enough so that at least if it was sideways, you'd have a chance. You're really good at placing Easter eggs. Thanks. But now I have to come up with new ones to keep you all guessing. Yeah, I was looking for printed text. Last time, one of the times I did it as an input on the multi-view of the ATEM. So I'm just going to keep you guessing. Which key do I use? Oh, I use the YubiKey 5C, whatever they call it. It works, and I've got it in this little keychain thing. Dean, yes, you won. Congratulations. I'll be in touch. Next time, call it PK Stream Trivia. Yeah, well, keep an eye out on my videos, because there might be secret codes in there that aren't for anything yet. And you might want to just keep a little notebook every time you see something that might be a secret code. It's reassuring that somebody else makes mistakes when coding. Yep, everybody makes mistakes. The chat, or the map, was the first mistake I did, which was I messed with my layers and the messages were under the map, and then I had to redo that right at the beginning of the show while we were live, which is always delightful. Is there a way to control ATEM Mini audio mixer with a control surface with physical faders? Yeah, totally. I'm pretty sure John Barker has some videos about this, but he has done some setups using MIDI controllers to control the ATEM. So you have to get a couple pieces of software involved to translate MIDI to ATEM messages, but you can totally do it. And any MIDI audio or interface, really, you can get ones that have just little faders on them. You could route those to send control commands to the ATEM. It takes a couple of steps. Pretty sure he has a video on at least one of those, but you'll be able to find the names of the software to look up. One of them would be ATEM OSC, and then you have to translate MIDI to OSC. Anyway, a few hops to get that to work. It is doable, though. Can you suggest a good small HDMI screen for the ATEM Mini for seeing all of the scenes? The small, so I do use a 7-inch monitor as a multi-view. That's actually what I've got up here. This is a 7-inch. It's not huge, and it is a little bit, I wouldn't use it as the primary multi-view because it's just a little bit small, I think, if you want to actually see what's going on in those scenes. The 10-inch is a good size for small but big enough to actually see. The 10-inch monitor that I've been using, which I like a lot, is this one, the Lilliput A11 10-inch monitor. That one is my teleprompter monitor over on the table, so it's sitting under the camera, and it fits the GlideGear 100 teleprompter really nicely, and it's big enough to see the multi-view, and it's big enough to actually like see what's on the camera too if I do full screen one source. And I sometimes use it under the teleprompter. I sometimes use it as a computer monitor also, so I can drag a zoom window into there as well and have a reasonable view of people on the call. Yeah, cool. You should be able to generate a Google Service account key to prevent the need for auth. Kind of. It's complicated. It's more complicated than that. Google has very complicated rate limits and limits around what things can do what with which APIs. So I did mine as an OAuth app rather than the service account for some reason, which I am now forgetting. And I'm gonna have to go back and see if I can either change it or if there really was a good reason. Does that Lilliput monitor mirror and flip? It does. That's one of the reasons I like it for the teleprompter, because it has the mirror and flip built in. So you don't need to do a separate device flipping it. I'm using the 10-inch for the multi-view and 5 program. Yeah, that sounds about right. I still prefer 7-inch for program out. 5 is just really small, but the 10-inch is really good for multi-view. Does the tally work with ATEM Extreme? It should, yeah. All of the tally project I did with the little M5 stick things, that just uses the ATEM library, so it should work with any ATEM switcher, really. They all use the same protocol underneath. I will say I would like to redo that project again to use Tally Arbiter because of the connection limit of how many things can be connected to the ATEM at a time, and using Tally Arbiter gets rid of that issue, and you can connect a whole bunch of tally lights to it. So I would recommend that path instead next time. Chris just bought the stand. Thank you. I appreciate it. What is the projector you are using? I have no idea. It is from 2012, maybe 2011, I want to say. It's a 1080 projector from ages ago, and I had it sitting around and decided to put it to use. Oh, look at this. PepperTech is in the chat. Shipping rates updated for Canada. Thanks for the feedback. Excellent. Excellent service. Now you can go buy it. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. I think we're going to wrap up there. What's next? Oh, yes. What's next? I am going to be traveling this week to LA, getting on a plane for the first time in 15 months. Definitely surreal, so that'll be fun. And while I'm in LA, I'm going to be running Lily's live stream that she's doing down there with a friend. And I run her streams every Saturday, switching to Sundays now. So after this, going back to run that in the evening. And we will be doing an interview down there in person. She'll be chatting with actually KMikeEM, Mike Merrill, publicly traded person, and always fun conversations when we get both of them together. So my goal with that is to bring as little as I possibly can on that trip. It's only 2 days. I don't want to carry a case full of video equipment. So I am still trying to choose which camera to bring and what gear to bring. But the way that I'm going to be doing all of the graphics and the chat and stuff is using a browser source in Lightstream Studio. So the same thing I did with the bike ride. The idea is I'm going to push one video feed up to Lightstream and then have Lightstream Studio bring in the graphics over top and mix it all that way. So I have a modification to my Chrome plugin for chat, which is going to help with that. And I'm planning on publishing that if this goes well. The way that the chat plugin works today is it takes the one window on your computer screen and reformats it for you. And that, actually, why don't I just show that here? I can show it with my video. So normally, this is what it does right now is it will take your browser window, reformat it, and then the idea is you would scale it to the right size and then Chromecast this or put it on a monitor and full screen it into an ATEM. That doesn't work with things like I can't bring this URL into OBS or Lightstream Studio because this is only on my computer. So the new feature that I'm adding is this pop-out button. And what this does is opens a pop-up window so that I can pull that into OBS or Lightstream, and then when I highlight a message, it shows up here. I have to make it the right size, of course, but that's handled by those platforms. And then I can hide and show messages just like before. And if this goes well, I am planning on publishing this into my extension. It does, of course, rely on my server to do that. So that is something to keep in mind, but it's not a huge amount of data moving around. It's not like I'm moving video or pictures around. I'm just moving the little text of the message around through my server. So if you want to use that, that will be a feature available in the extension, hopefully very soon. And yes, will I do a show and tell for this setup? I absolutely will. The plan is after I do the stream for that channel, I'm going to then do a stream on my channel, probably immediately after, and talk about how it went, talk about what I used and what I did actually end up bringing, because I haven't even yet decided that. So keep an eye out on this channel for that stream, and subscribe, but also subscribe to my email newsletter, because that sends out an email a half hour before I go live, and that is a lot more reliable than YouTube notifications. So that link is, of course, below. Yeah, I have a couple of options. YOLObox is definitely an option. I'm also thinking about even less. So with the YOLObox, you'd have the YOLObox and a camera and an HDMI cable to connect the two, and power for both. So something to power both devices. Or I could maybe rely on battery for an hour-long show, but I kind of don't want to rely on battery power. So that's not terrible, but it is also a chunk, right? It's like the YOLObox, a camera, has to go somewhere, and in a backpack, it'll fit. We'll see if that ends up being what I do. My other option, probably not an ATEM in a road case, because that's actually a lot more stuff. And the other option is using, like I did with the bike live stream, a camera either with HDMI out to a small encoder where I can kind of have that just be one package, or a camera that has built-in streaming and stream directly from the camera to Lightstream Studio. So we will see. We will see what I end up with. I don't know yet. Dean asks, did I see you were a guest tomorrow on John's show? Yes, I almost forgot. Tomorrow morning, I will be, morning my time, I will be a guest on John Barker's show. He's going to be assembling the ATEM Mini Extreme stand that I sent to him, thanks to that one episode of this show several weeks ago where everybody wanted him to get one and threw in enough super chats to pay for the postage for it, which was not cheap and also very slow. So it finally arrived. Graham says, could you send alerts more than 30 minutes before going live, sometimes at the other end of town? That's actually an interesting question. Let's do an experiment here. For everybody in the chat, I think we still have a bunch of people here. For everybody in the chat, let me know how many minutes in advance you would want a notification that I'm going live. Would you want it to be 0 minutes so that by the time you get the email, you click it and you are watching? Do you like it to be 30 minutes so that you can pull it up and have it ready? Do you want it to be more because you need more time to go somewhere? Just put in a number of minutes down below. And I am curious to see what people are thinking. And if it's all over the place, maybe I will let you choose, because that's the other way to do it, is I could make it configurable so that you would get a customized reminder. Okay, getting a bunch of 60, 15, 60, 30 is good, 60, 60, bunch of 60s, okay, 30, 20, 60, 30, 60. Okay, a lot of people want an hour. So what I might do is switch it right now just to an hour, and 30 minutes for Sunday, 2 hours for other days. Right, because the schedule, when I'm not doing it on my normal schedule, it's maybe you need more time notice. But 30 is good for some people, and would like to choose. So I should probably make it configurable. Any chance of text notifications? Possibly. It's a lot more expensive to send text notifications. That's the only concern. So I will have to figure that out. Yeah. Wouldn't mind 60 and 30, but I don't need the 60. Yep. Configurable 32.4. Would also like to choose. Okay. I've been thinking about how to give you more things, more options, and a way to like what would it mean if you could actually like log into a site for my show, and what would that let you do? So, oh, send the text through the email gateway. That's a thought. That actually might. I don't know what it would look like, but if you can find the email address for your phone number, you might be able to subscribe to the newsletter with that email address. It might work. Otherwise, I could at least make it so that it sends a shorter message that would fit in a text. That's a good thought. Cool. Oh, is this the regular thing that's always on Sundays or just other streams? I'm going to be doing that on Thursday this week, since I'm not going to be in LA on Sunday. I'll be back here next week on Sunday, so that'll be normal. But I'm just going to throw in an extra show this week while I'm out, because I wanted to live stream while I'm out. Oh, this is a good question. When you bring in remote callers, do you provide them a green room or something like that where they can chat and watch the live programs while they wait to go live? Yeah, I can talk a little bit about what we did with bringing Ryan in today, which we covered a little bit on the show, but basically what it was the VDO.ninja rebranded from OBS.ninja, and it doesn't have anything to do with OBS. It's just a video chat platform that gives you a lot of control. It gives a lot of control of which guests are in what scenes and things like that. So the interface for it is basically you get this little control room, and you can share a link out to guests, and they just join like in a browser like normal, and then they pop up in the window, and then they're in the green room already. So as soon as they join that link, they're in the green room. And then what I did for Ryan was, as the director in that control room, I have the option of sending video back out to people so they could see me. And I chose the program out of my ATEM. So I have a... Did I do that? Now I'm second guessing myself. Let me go back into the room. So when people join the link, they'll show up here. And then there's this button, enable director's microphone. And then video source. Yes. Okay. I have a separate capture card, which is the... oh, I guess I was using the Blackmagic. Right. Of course. What am I talking about? Of course, it's program out. I was just sharing the program out over USB webcam. So I was using that separate capture card for something else. But yeah, USB out of the ATEM is plugged into my computer, and that's showing up as the program out here. So that is what they're seeing. So before the show, I had the countdown timer running up on this screen. That's what Ryan was seeing. And then I did my little intro. He was watching that through this, not on YouTube. So I was sending him, oh yeah, audio. The audio is the trick. So this works fine for the video. The audio, I need to send him only my microphone. Because if I sent him the program audio from the ATEM, he would hear himself, this is the one limit with the ATEMs, is that they don't do configurable audio. They don't do mix minus or anything. What I needed was to send all the audio from the ATEM except his, which is a mix minus, and there isn't an option for that. So instead, what I did was I sent him my AirPods. So he was listening to only my microphone, not the rest of the audio in the show. So he was not, for example, hearing the sound effects or anything like that. Or if I had music playing, he wouldn't hear that. It was only the microphone. That is, I wish they would change that in the ATEM. I would love to do assignable audio for the USB outputs. I just want to tell it which of the inputs to enable on the USB. That would be a lot better. So yeah, that's how that worked. VDO.ninja. And then yeah, on the guest side, they just it's like joining anything over in a browser. It's just a browser link. You choose a USB webcam. So he was joining from his ATEM, and choose your audio source, choose your video source, and that is that's how they join remotely. Yep, I am going to keep telling Blackmagic to add mix minus, or at the very least, or route assignable audio. They got close with the Extreme with the headphone output, because you can choose one of the sources to send over headphone or all of them, but you can't do multiple sources. So they have something in there, but yeah, I'm going to keep bugging them about that, because that's the one missing piece here. I need to, you have to, if you want to do proper mix minus for your guests, you have to do all of your audio in an external device. But that's just a lot more complicated. And I like having the audio mixer in the ATEM just to keep it simpler. I don't have an audio board here. It's all routed, mixed in the ATEM. Time for a new wish list for Blackmagic. The last one was great. I did actually just film my actual review of the ATEM Mini Extreme, because I realized I hadn't done that yet, and I owe them a review, since they did send me one for 3 months. And so I have that filmed, and there's a little bit of a wish list at the end of that. So we will see when I can finish editing that and filming the B-roll, but hoping to get that out soon, and we'll see if they take that wish list into consideration. I created a note in my own calendar. Oh yeah, that works too. Oh, speaking of calendar, you can also subscribe to my calendar. So if you go to aaronpk.tv, there it is. There is an iCal link. So if you add this link to your calendar, you can choose a notification time for those events in your calendar, and that will always show any scheduled live streams that are coming up. Obviously, I don't have any scheduled ones right now, because this one is the one that is currently going. And I did just redo this page. I'm in the middle of a little redesign on this. I think this is cute. I changed the colors to match the rest of it. Not perfect. I'm not a designer, but I think it's a little better than before. Okay. Yeah, if you know of a midweek live stream far enough in advance, announce it with a Sunday email. That's a good idea. The email text that goes out in that email is actually the top part of the video description. So I would have to make sure to put the link to the next one in this one's video description ahead of time. But that's a good suggestion too. I'm glad you like the projector. I think it's pretty fun. It is making it significantly warmer in here, I will say. It is heating up much, much faster than normal. That thing is pumping out. It's a little heater. It is a little heater. Cool. Just send AP live as a text. Oh, there was a question here too. What is your suggestion on using a mini PC with the ATEM for graphics, or just use a laptop? And this looks like a cool little mini PC as well. I've been thinking about this. So I actually was hoping to use, I had an Intel NUC, one of the brand new ones, little tiny boxes, and my plan was to install Linux on it, install OBS, and then use the UltraStudio 4K with that as just a little graphics box. And I got Linux installed. I could not get the Blackmagic video drivers to work at all. Completely failed. I tried under Ubuntu and a couple other distros. Did not work at all. I was like, fine, I'm just going to install Windows. Because that'll work, right? Turns out I couldn't even install Windows on it, because it's too new. So I tried making a USB drive with Windows ISO on it, and there's something about the fact that the USB ports are all USB 3.2. It doesn't have anything that can fall back into the mode that lets it boot from a fake CD that's actually a USB drive. So I literally could not get Windows installed. It booted up into the installer, and then it's like, can't find install media. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so I returned it, and I was like, screw that. I'm just going to get another M1 Mac Mini and dedicate that to my graphics. Today, the graphics are running on this Mac Mini in OBS, which is actually working reasonably well. And I may not actually need a dedicated one, but that my plan was just to make one that is only doing OBS with the graphics for the show. But we'll see. I'm actually may not need one. Patrick says, new chat pop out. Is it configurable to point to our own server? I could probably make it configurable. The problem is that it's not super easy to install the things you need on that server. I have no reason not to make it configurable and give people instructions if they do want to run it on their own server, but I'm going to warn you in advance, it's not going to be super easy. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than the video I did with the Raspberry Pi streaming bridge. So it'll be a little bit more complicated than that. It is, after all, a 10-year-old projector. Are they better now? I haven't bought a projector since this one. Are they like quieter or cooler now? Is that a thing? Is that a thing that is possible? I literally haven't looked at projector technology in 10 years. Oh, I guess I do know that there's the ones that are the short throw, which you can put like a foot away from the wall, and then it just magics the image straight up into the wall, which that is super appealing because I had to place this one in a very particular spot in order to make it. And actually, I forgot that a chair is actually blocking the last one in the corner. So that last one, it has a shadow from the chair that's sitting at the desk because I forgot to move the chair out of the way. I would love to use a short throw so that I can just put it up against the wall. And if unless you can afford lasers. So I think that the short throw ones are all lasers, if I remember correctly. And that would, if this is going to stick around, I might have to upgrade to a short throw so that I don't have to worry about shadows or all this heat. They're all LED based now. Oh, right. That is true. There's an actual bulb in this one, which is what's generating all the heat. Laser projectors, no massive hot bulbs anymore. Cool. Okay, that's good to know. Where is the projector in the room? Let me see if I can turn this camera to actually show you. I think this will work. Yeah, this works. So that's my table. That's the table that my laptop is on there for. That was running OBS for bringing Ryan in. So that was the one that had the OBS window full screen. The computer monitor behind it is just mirroring my monitor so I can use it over there. And then the projector, you can kind of see it tucked behind there. And it's very precisely placed to be mostly flat, like it's not skewed, because it only has the adjustments for deskewing the top direction. It can't deskew sideways, so I had to make it completely parallel and at the right height. And because too far up, it was like things were blocking it. Anyway, it was really, really finicky. But I found a spot that worked, and I am very tempted by the short throws that just sit up against the wall and don't need all that space to throw the light. Oh yeah, I was talking about the graphics computer. So I was trying that Intel NUC. That machine didn't work. An older one probably would have worked fine with the USB installer. My hesitation with any of those kinds of things is that they are computers. So I don't trust Windows to not auto update, and I guess you can make it not auto update if you get the Pro version, but not the Home. So that's a worry. I would probably trust Linux a little bit more if I could get the drivers to work for the UltraStudio to output over the UltraStudio. That would be my main concern about using any computer, any computer with OBS for graphics. The reason that I am a little bit more willing to use a Mac for that, like dedicate a Mac to that, is because I know how to make the Mac work the way I want it to work, and I know that I can do things like reasonably well on it, and I know how it's going to behave. So I may not actually need a separate one for it, because this is actually working fine having it on this machine. The best projector is the one you already have. A fantastic use case as it looks really cool. Thanks. I do think it looks cool. And I already have this, so it was free, essentially. Use it during the winter. That will, I would not need to run the heater for sure. It is now, the temperature in here has just been steadily climbing since I started, and it is noticeable. In fact, here, I can show you the steady climb of that was cooling off overnight. I opened the door when I got in, dropped the temperature down to 75, and then closed the door when the show started, and it's just been going up and up and up. Okay, it's warm. I need to open that door and cool off. Have you considered a big LED wall? I absolutely have considered it. However, that is so very expensive. Also, not practical for here. You don't always have the ATEM fixed in a case, or do you keep shifting it during streaming? The one on my desk over there more or less lives there, or on the table, it more or less lives there. But right now, I'm actually I have it taken out because I was doing a photo shoot with the Stream Deck on it, so that's why it's out there. But the one on my desk, on this desk, hasn't really moved. Refurbed M1 Mac Mini, often on the Apple Store. Yep. Noise from the fan might be an issue on the other desk. Oh yeah, also the way that my projector is set up, if I sit at that table, I will block it, which is not great. So I can only sit here if I want that in the shot, unless I get the short throw. Oh, there was a question about latency in here, I saw. Where was it? Oh my gosh. Open up the wall and set up rear projection. That would be fun. Where was the latency question? I am not seeing it. Oh, here we go. What delay do you have from when you're live to when we see it, and is there a way to monitor that delay? The way I monitor it is I look at the YouTube window. So if I'm looking at the window here, I can see myself, and it's like 3 or 4 seconds, I would say, right now. This is actually not necessarily a reliable representation, though, because sometimes this player is just horribly out of sync. So if I really care, I would open up the YouTube feed on my iPad, or it's in a separate tab. But I don't necessarily need to know what the actual delay is for that. But yeah, it seems to be. Oh, then I guess Ryan was seeing it too, because Ryan was seeing in VDO.ninja the program feed, and then he was watching on YouTube also, or at least had the YouTube tab open so he could see the delay there. I have it set to ultra low latency on YouTube, which is why it's that short, which is pretty good. 75-inch TV could do it also, but then it's going to like stick out from the wall too. Can you mount the projector from the ceiling? I could, but then the ceiling would look ugly. Also, I don't think this projector can de-skew enough to make that work. It's not a very fancy projector. It was not expensive when I bought it, and I bought it 10 years ago. There is a question from Bob. Can I record my Switch program without graphics on the ISO? Previously, I recorded my show via USB on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and then output to an ATEM Mini Pro via HDMI to add graphics to the stream and stream via USB. Ooh, okay, wait. So you want to record a clean feed without graphics on the extreme ISO. Can you do that? The recorder will only record the program out. So whatever is the program, if your graphics are in the program, it's only going to record the program. And that is the limit of the ATEM line. I do wish we could again change what was being fed to the USB encoder and the recorder encoder. That's not possible right now. So the way to do this would be to, if you wanted to, you can take one of your HDMI outs on the extreme and assign it to clean feed. So you can do that. If you go into your outputs on the extreme, you have two. So you can, one is your multi-view. The other one could be clean feed, which is minus the keyers. So if I don't remember where that is. I don't think I'm setting that anywhere to see it right now. But with output 2 set to clean feed, you could then run it into an HDMI recorder of some sort, whether that's an ATEM Mini Pro to record that way or an actual HDMI recorder. That is the limit, and unfortunately, the ATEM Mini Extreme didn't change that compared to the ATEM Mini Pros. It's the same in both. So there is the encoder that is streaming and recording, and it is program feed. That's it. Again, that's something that I really wish they had done differently. I wish I could send something different over USB compared to over the streaming encoding. Same way that you can reassign outputs like HDMI outs. I wish I could reassign USB and the encoder. So it is, that's a limit. Oh yeah, the other trick, which I have done this one before, is if you want to use the ISO itself as the recorder, you could take your HDMI out and route it into one of your inputs and set that to clean feed. And then you record in the ISO and it records all 8 inputs. One of them would happen to be the clean feed. So you can actually shortcut that. You don't need a separate recorder because you can use the recorder that's built into the ISO. Oh yeah, and there's one more. This problem that is a problem for some people with certain video images. The USB output is more contrasty compared to the HDMI output. So, oh, I guess Ryan didn't use the USB output into VDO.ninja. He ended up using HDMI out to a cam link because then it kept the picture the right colors, because his set, the way that he's got like the dark and rich colors in the background, that was very noticeably different over the USB output compared to HDMI, whereas this, I don't have as much that's in that low range, so it doesn't end up changing it as much in this scene. Okay, I think we're done. Did I say there were 2 streams this week? There's actually 3. It's mine here. I'm going to be on John's tomorrow, and I'll be doing a stream on Thursday, which I'll post right after this wraps up. Thursday evening my time, so sorry for all the Europeans, but all the Australians will be able to watch live. And then, of course, when I'll be back here next week, and we can recap all of that then as well. So let's see if this works. My new end show animations. Thank you all for watching. Thank you. Oops, I just realized I cut my audio. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you for watching. And have a great rest of the day. And bring more questions to me this week, tomorrow on John's channel, or Thursday, or otherwise I will see you back here on Sunday. Thanks.